What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to DSM Pregame Live here on DSM-Media's Philadelphia YouTube channel. Eagles, Dolphins, Sunday Night Football at the Link. The Kelly Greens make a return tonight, Scotty, to South Philadelphia. The Birds looking to get back in the win column after an ugly loss at the hands of Zach Wilson and the New York Jets last weekend. But guys, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's the best spot to get your thoughts, comments, and questions pulled up here on the screen, like my man Hunter, like my man D-Rab. And it also helps us here at DSM, myself and Scotty included. We're on the road to 100 subscribers on YouTube. Help us get us there and beyond. But my man, how are you feeling on this Sunday afternoon? Gotta say, very sluggish, slow start to the football day. Not a lot of luck gambling, but with that said, a lot of weird action going on. Somehow, Gardner Minshew and PJ Walker ended up having a ridiculous showdown in Indianapolis. That game went bonkers. Mac Jones and New England end up beating Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. There's been a lot of weird stuff going on, man. I don't know if that's a good trend for the Eagles or a bad trend for the Eagles as we head in as favorites in tonight's ball game. But we're going to get into our keys to victory, our standout stars, our game predictions, all of that good stuff. But how's it going, man?
It's going, man. Been cleaning the house while kind of side-eye watching this madness that's taking place today. Laid the under in the Colts and Browns, and of course they score close to 80 points. They almost doubled the total. And then, of course, as you mentioned, the Patriots. Our man Mike, that was in the NFL Turf Talk chat earlier today. He's a Pats fan, and he was talking about the Bills.
He was a little down,
handily taking care of the Patriots. So. Should have had a little more faith in Bill Belichick and company, I guess. From Mike there. But,
I certainly did not, but
man, the Lions get routed by the Ravens, bro. 38-6. God damn, that's a tough one. The Raiders get blown out by the Bears, and Ty Bagent, he's going off. He's the new guy in town in Chicago.
Justin Field too.
But yeah, it's interesting, man. You talk about how does it make me feel for the Eagles game, and I don't know. I know we're favored, but it feels like we're not. Now, I didn't watch a lot of national media this week. I know Stephen A. Smith had a couple things to say that I saw got kind of headlined, but aside from that, I really didn't hear much. For me, I feel like the Eagles coming off the Jets loss, it kind of feels like just in the air, just my gut feeling, it feels like we're being underestimated tonight, even at home against the Dolphins. So, I don't know. I get the sports bet site. They're going to tell you that we're favored in this one, and maybe that's just home field advantage, right? But it feels like we're kind of being underrated going into this game. Even by ourselves, I feel like we're kind of underrating ourselves in our power rankings, different things like that. We had to knock ourselves down a notch. But I will say this to start the show. I think if the Eagles I'm not going to get – never mind. Yeah, I shouldn't say it to start the show. But I do think the loss to the Jets was a good thing in hindsight going into this game. That's where I'll start.
Let's just assume that the Eagles partially lost to the New York Jets last weekend because it was in a look-ahead spot. They're looking ahead to Miami. The schedule strengthens. Here we go. Now we're here. What needs to get done? Now, obviously, you're looking at not just last week, but the 5 weeks previous of all of the red flags and all of the issues the Eagles continuously need to try to clean up starting tonight, man. So let's get into our keys to victory. What do they need to do to get the job done at the Link tonight? I'll start. I think key number one is very simple. It's take care of the football. It's cherish the football, protect the football each and every possession, each and every time you touch the football. Obviously, Jalen Hurts has already thrown more interceptions through 6 weeks than he did all of last season, including the postseason. 4 turnovers coming away against the New York Jets, right? DeAndre Swift with the fumble as well. When you look at that and you look at the fact that the Eagles were still in a position to chew the clock away and win that game, you have to look back and say, man, if we could have had that one back or that one back and this one back. You have to play a clean game tonight because guess what? This isn't Zach Wilson. This isn't the New York Jets. No. You know how we sat here and we said how they were lucky, right? They were lucky that if you play that style of football, if you play that sluggish, if you play that sloppy, you're going to get beat by 3 possessions. Boy, oh boy, trust me. If you do not protect the football tonight,
Yeah.
you are going to get beat by 45. Protect it, man.
Yeah, no, you're spot on. That's one of my keys to victory here as well. Win the turnover battle, and also not just keeping the turnovers clean, right? Not turning the ball over if you're Jalen Hurts, if you're this Eagles offense, but also getting turnovers. We have not gotten turnovers. It feels
Correct.
like in a couple weeks now, and we only have two, I believe, two interceptions on the season. One by Reed Blankenship and one by Darius Slay, if I'm not mistaken.
Slays was a pick six. We don't have more than that. That's
Slays was a
crazy
pick
if we don't have more than that.
I think we only have 2 interceptions. I'm
That
pretty
is
sure
absolutely
both of
bonkers.
these teams, Dolphins and Eagles tonight, both only have 2 interceptions on the season. We got a few forced fumbles, fumble recoveries in there, but nonetheless, the turnovers are not where they need to be at on both sides of the ball for the Eagles, right? Aside from that, dominating the trenches tonight, man. I think that's going to be key. You get Lane Johnson back, right? You get Jalen Carter back. These are 2 mainstays, big pieces in this trench set that the Eagles offer you. And you have to dominate there tonight because you can't afford to leave your secondary out there hanging if you're that defensive line. You got to get to the quarterback tonight. You look at Tua, man, he's only been sacked 6 times this year. So I know there's talk of the Dolphins offensive line. They're going to get the ball out quick. We know that.
Yep.
And to that point, the Eagles defensive line has to get there quick.
Yeah.
They have to do their job early and they have to get to Tua. Put him under pressure, man. I know he's had the injury history, all of that. You got to hit this guy at the end of the day. You got to get him on the ground. And I'm hoping the Eagles can get to that today. You talked about not giving that Dolphins offense an extra opportunities, right? Tua's leading the league in passing yards and passing touchdowns coming into this game. He's completing his passes at over 70% a clip. So he's at the top of his game right now. And we're getting a quarterback that is far better than anybody that we've played so far. So I think the Eagles defense, specifically the trenches, need to be ready for that. On the other side of the ball, you need to run the goddamn football tonight. The Eagles offensive line needs to control that line of scrimmage just like they always do, but more specifically against a Dolphins team who I'm personally not convinced that they're ready to battle with us in the trenches, specifically between that offensive line and that defensive line. So Eagles need to take advantage of that. Let Jalen Hurts, it feeds into the turnovers. Let Jalen Hurts settle in today. Let's not force him to go out here and throw the ball 40 plus times. Let's let him settle in, use his legs a little bit, right? Not designed runs, get out of the pocket, whatever the case may be. But we need to be attacking up front, and we need to run the goddamn football today. That goes with time of possession, all of that, man.
So everything you just said there describes my final 2 keys, and both have to do with the trenches. Both have to do with dirtying this game up and mucking this game up. That is a fast, pretty, quick hitting type of team, right? Find a way to make this game physical, and it starts in the trenches. So I'll start on the offensive side of the ball. You said run the effing ball. Now, this is obviously very notable because you're coming off a game in which you threw the ball over 45 times with a backup right guard and a backup right tackle against the 29th ranked run defense last week. That's a problem. Okay, so my second key to victory here is ride the big fellas up front and get physical. Establish the run. Do it early. Do it with DeAndre Swift on the first drive. Give that man the effing ball.
Yep.
It is less stress on your offensive lineman to run block than to pass protect. Now, I know Lane's back. He's got a high ankle sprain or whatever the case may be. Let him get upfield and not have to constantly 40, 45 plus effing times be going backwards, holding 250, 280 strong-ass bull rushers coming at you on that ankle. It is easier to run block for this line than to pass protect. They're great at both, but what does this line love to do?
Yeah.
When do you notice the energy start to get pumped into this offense and into this crowd when they run the ball and there's a 10-yard gain and a 5-yard gain and a 13-yard gain and Kelsey's getting up and moving the sticks, right? That's what gives this offense the juice. Do it to start. Secondly, you have to find a way to be disruptive on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
Take chances on defense is my third and final key here, Scotty.
I like
Now,
that.
whether that's on the defensive line, whether this is on the secondary, press coverage, bump, be physical at the line of scrimmage with these wide receivers, DB blitzes, different types of looks. I don't know what it is that Sean Desai wants or needs to do tonight necessarily against all of these weapons and the game plan that Mike McDaniel is going to deploy out there, but you have to find a way to disrupt it. This is an offense that is going to use a lot of motion, more motion pre-snap than this Eagles defense has seen or will see all year. And it's very simple when you watch this team. Now, they they like the long ball, and they like the 20-yard in routes to Jalen Waddle, and they'll get those going as well. But a lot of what they do is they'll start Tyreek Hill or Waddle in motion, horizontal with the line, running out towards the other wide receiver, and one will be a quick slant, and one will be an out route towards the boundary. Now, his decision is this: wherever that corner reacts to, the ball's going the opposite way. And it's quick, man. It's 8 yards. It's 7 yards. It's 15 yards. I've watched them do it a ton this year. You have to find a way to disrupt that. Get up on the line of scrimmage, bump that first wide receiver. Yeah. Don't let him get off his hitch so quick, and disrupt the timing and the flow of this motion-led offense. If you can do that, it might allow this defensive line to hit to it like you talked about.
No. Yeah, I love that as well, man. I think that's a big thing here. You have Darius Slay, you have James Bradbury. You're paying these guys for a reason, man. And tonight, that is that reason. On your home field, you're playing against the Dolphins, a high-flying wide receiver duo like Waddle and Hill. Those guys got to step up. They got to play physical, and I don't want to see any type of half-assing tonight from those guys. So I'm with you there as far as playing physical, getting in their face, and that's from a holistic standpoint. They need to, every part of the game needs to be smash mouth in your face football from the Eagles, because I think that's part of what we saw last week, man. The Jets kind of smacked us in our mouth, and as I'm watching that game play out, I'm realizing maybe the Jets are just a great ass matchup for the Eagles because of that, because of their ability with Quinnen Williams to smash you up front and get pressure on the quarterback, and I think that was kind of what we saw play out last week. I don't know if the Dolphins have that in them, so I want to see the Eagles be physical and take it to that point. Don't make it a shootout. Like, you don't want to get into a shootout with the Miami Dolphins, right? Like, that's not how you want to play this game. You want to play this game with time of possession, controlling the ball, sustaining drives, and smash mouth football, and that's what the Eagles are capable of. The last thing I'll add in there, man, my final key to victory here as well, 7's not 3s, touchdowns, not field goals. You have to put it in the goddamn end zone. And the red zone troubles, the red zone play calling, it needs to stop today. It needs to improve today. It has to be on point. They better come out with a good game plan and figure out how to get it in the end zone. It doesn't matter how. I would suggest targeting your big targets, Dallas Goedert, AJ Brown. How about you added a Julio Jones? Get it into one of your big targets' hands, throw it their way, and I think you'll see some success in the end zone today, man. As well as running the football. I don't want to leave that out. I feel like I have to mention run the football just to make it clear.
Just so they don't forget, just so Brian Johnson and Shane don't forget, right?
Or exactly.
Nick. But no, that was the last thing I was going to bring up here when it comes to keys. It's not one of my keys, but when you mentioned sustaining drives, protecting the ball, etc., that is the last thing. It's not just sustaining drives; it's fixing that last issue, and it's the red zone struggles. Right now, if you score on big plays, 7s, not 3s, that's great. You can score wherever on the field, but when you do get down inside the 25, inside the 20, inside the 15, I need to see better, crisper play calling. I need to see better decision-making from Jalen Hurts, better personnel packages. Dude, I know it is a weird thing to complain about, but you talk about using your big target threats. They bring in a Julio Jones, big body receiver, right? Dallas Goedert, AJ Brown. I said it to you 2 weeks ago. You have like a 6'5" pass-catching, athletic body, just inactive every week in Albert O, who you traded from the Denver Broncos. Now, if 6 weeks of evidence isn't enough of your red zone issues to show you might need to change something up, I don't know what is. I'm not trying to sit here and act like we need Big O to be successful.
Yeah.
Or I don't understand how he's not getting playing time. It's nothing like that. But when I'm watching this team target Quez Watkins in the back of the end zone, or Olamide Zaccheaus, or hand the ball to Boston effing Scott on the 5-yard line.
Please don't do that
today. But you have
a
6'5" athletic tight end just wasting away when you have these issues. Put him in the game next to Goddard with AJ on the outside. Let them go up, high point a ball, make a play as the bigger body. Let Jalen trust that. I love Smitty, man, but your red zone package shouldn't be Quez Watkins, Smitty, and Kenneth Gainwell.
No. It should be Dallas Goedert. It should be AJ Brown. And I'm telling you, man, you brought in Julio Jones. Use him. He's 6'3". He's a big body wide receiver. We know what type of range he has as a wide receiver, man. And I believe there is some juice left in there. You don't bring him in if you're not going to use him. That's my way of looking at it. If I'm the Eagles, Olamide Zaccheaus is not keeping Julio Jones off my field. No. So I want to see what he's got. Obviously, it depends on how much of the playbook, everything, his connection with Jalen, how much of that he's picked up and how fast. But I would love to see him in red zone situations specifically tonight from the jump. They should have already incorporated that because that is one of their biggest issues right now is scoring the rock once they get into 20, man. So I'm with you. Yeah, Big O, whether it's Big O, Dallas Goedert 6'5", AJ Brown 6'1", right? Whoever you want to go to, you have plenty of options. I just don't want to see the same shit over and over. That's my biggest thing, man.
That's insanity, right? Definition of insanity. But I find it very interesting, right? Because I think along with yourself, I am laying Julio Jones anytime touchdown score tonight.
Yeah,
Dude, plus 750.
750.
Now like you just almost have to do it. Now maybe he doesn't play more than 2 snaps. I don't know. But it's been reported multiple times today that he will not just be used as a decoy. He's active, and he will play 15 to 20 snaps. Now, I would assume veteran guy getting up there in age doesn't have the same type of production, explosiveness. Yeah. You're looking at the same red zone issues we're looking at. Maybe we don't need to use him inside the 20s too often, or in between the 20s too often. Maybe maybe at the 18. Is when Julio Jones comes in for 3 plays in a row.
Yeah, that's exactly
maybe that's one. And then the next drive, you know what I mean? I completely agree with you, man. I think that pickup, that addition is going to be a very interesting storyline to follow the rest of the year. Because, I mean, again, I'm not trying to sit here and hype this up as Julio from 2015, right? 2016, Julio Jones. Well, you're talking about the all-time receiving yards leader. You're talking about one of the greatest to ever do it. If he's got anything left in the tank, it's useful. Yeah. All right. So find a way to get him acclimated tonight. I think they'll do so. Jalen's got it. And the one more thing, man. Guys just have to make plays tonight. Like you look at that Miami offense and how explosive they are. Their stars are going to show up.
They're going to
Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. They're going to make plays. AJ Brown, I don't doubt will show up. Smitty, redemption night, bro.
Yeah,
redemption night.
We need you. We need you tonight.
Look it in, see it in, bang. Your stars have to make
all hands on deck,
and I think they will. But before we get into our game predictions, offensively, we just talked about Julio Jones. We talked about running the ball, all the weapons. Give me your standout star offensively, and then we'll get into the defense as well.
Yeah, I think this, as we mentioned, has to be a smash mouth type of game for the Eagles. They need to control the line of scrimmage, control the time of possession. And I think that starts with your running back, man. That's DeAndre Swift. I think this is a night where DeAndre Swift, if he goes over 100 rushing yards, I think the Eagles are winning this game, and they're winning it in good style. So with that being said, I think you've got to put the ball in Swift's hands. Let him make plays, man. And I think Hurts is part of that as well. Obviously, I think he can incorporate himself into that run game. Just got to pick your spots wisely. The QB draws, right? The QB draws aren't terrible. It's just when you run 5 of them in one game, that's when it gets terrible. So you can mix in the QB draw on 1 or 2 plays, right? But the rest, run some RPO. We haven't seen much of that this season. I would just like to see the game kind of simplified for Jalen in a sense, right? Just get him in play action situations, get him outside the pocket where he's comfortable, and let him ride this out tonight. But it starts with Swift getting the ball in his hands, let him take over the game, and maybe take some of the pressure off of Jalen. Even
Yeah.
I would like to see that tonight. Swift over 100 yards rushing. Maybe he gets involved in the passing game too.
I am going to stick with the man who has not shied away from the bright lights, has not shied away from the moment, even through all of the issues last week and the couple weeks before. I'm going with number 11. I'm going with one of the reasons you brought him in here, to shine in the biggest moments. And right now, this team coming off one of the worst, maybe their worst loss in the last two seasons. Like that loss last week might be worse than the Monday night loss at home to Washington last year.
I think so,
right?
man.
So when you're looking at it from that standpoint, we know that he's had 4 straight games of over 125 receiving yards, continues to break Eagles records. He's been a monster. But tonight, rocking these, the link, whole place bumping. I'm looking for number 11 to continue to put on a show, man. Continue to find him, continue to get him the ball in space. It doesn't need to be go routes down the sideline and contested catches and everything like that. Remember week 1 against the Detroit Lions? It felt like slant boy all over again, right? With Michael Ty. It felt slant, screen, ball out in space. AJ Brown can get it done in all 3 phases of the game, man.
Yeah.
Find a way to get him the ball. Let him be your playmaker. Let him take you home. And I think he'll be able to get the job done tonight. Obviously, Xavier Howard, excuse me, I'm not sure if he's going to follow AJ around. Maybe he's going to play one side of the field. I don't know how Miami constructs their defense from that standpoint. But obviously, no Jalen Ramsey yet for them.
Let me ask you this. Is Howard playing for sure? Like, have you seen that confirmed? I see he's questionable. That's the only reason I asked.
That's a good question. So, no, I do not know. I do not know if he's for sure in. Yeah, I do not know if he's definitely in or not. I'm just going to assume that he is in a big moment like this. That questionable is just precautionary, probably.
Look it up.
But yeah, no, I think AJ Brown finds a way to continue to play well under the brightest of lights. But obviously, while you're looking that up for them, man, to get over to the defensive side of things and my standout star defensively, I'm going to the man I've been riding all year long, all off season long. Missed last week, obviously very impactful. I'm looking at Jalen Carter. Now, one of my keys of victory was to find a way to disrupt this game. Find a way to throw to it, to throw these wide receivers off their timing. Well, I'll tell you what, this Miami team has somehow found a way to run the shit out of the football as well. They're not some one-dimensional, high-flying, air-it-out type of offense. They do both. I'm looking at that run stopper. I'm looking at that pass rusher in Jalen Carter to be that disruptor tonight. I think 98 gets the job done, man. And if he does, if he shines under these lights tonight, like I'm predicting, that will be the next purchase in the Kelly Green jersey department for myself.
I love it. I love it, man. I'm all over him as well tonight. I think it could be a big night all around for our defensive line, and I think that's something that's kind of getting slept on going into this game. I'm going to go in a different direction. I'm going to go with the guy whose jersey and Kelly Green I have already purchased, and that is my man Hassan Reddick. Look, since he's gotten the cast off, 5 sacks, man. He's shooting up the charts as far as QB pressures. Obviously, at the
they're
top
all
of the
so
league.
timely too, aren't they?
They're timely, man. He comes up big in the big moments, and I can see him doing that again tonight, man. Coming off that edge, he catches you by shock, and I think that's part of his game, man. He'll catch the QB sleeping because he gets there so quick sometimes, and that's where you can see some of those turnovers come away. So that's what I'm looking for from Hassan Reddick tonight. One of those game-altering type of sacks, not just a sack where he gets to go and flip his thumb upside down. I'm talking about a sack where somebody on the Eagles defense picks that ball up, and now that ball is going back to Jalen Hurts and company on the other side. We need those type of plays tonight, so I'm going to go with Hassan Reddick, but I love the Jalen Carter. Let's get them all going.
One of the two, man. One of the two have to find a way to get home. Even if you're not getting home, again, the key word, disrupt the timing of the flow of that offense.
Yeah.
Has to get done tonight. Sean Desai cannot just sit back and continue to do like he was not the problem last week. He has not been the problem a majority of the weeks outside of like Washington, right?
Yeah.
But with what he's been doing, the underneath stuff, the 8 yards off the line of scrimmage stuff, I promise you it's going to get you hurt tonight. Yep. I really believe that. I don't think the press coverage, like, yeah, you might get burnt once or twice, but that's not what's going to lose you this game. What's going to lose you this game is if you sit off the line of scrimmage and allow those guys to get off cleanly, get into their motion, into their offense, and get the ball out quickly. I think they'll chew us up and spit us out on defense tonight if he allows that. With that said, let's get into game predictions, man. Obviously, very, very sour taste left in our mouth from last Sunday. We came on this pregame show a week ago today. Very confident in what the Eagles were going to do to the Jets, and they didn't hold up their end of the bargain. They lost us money, they lost us confidence, they lost us a little bit of faith, right? But it was okay. We still had the Phillies, right? The Phillies come out swinging shortly after that, and we look great. But then for 2 nights in a row, the Phillies had us questioning what was going to happen in this city. All right. However, last night, the Phillies get the job done. They're coming home back to Citizens Bank Park tomorrow night. Game 6, up 3-2, 1 win away from the World Series. The Eagles will continue the good momentum, the good juju tonight. It's Kelly Green, bro. That entire stadium is going to be on one. They've been out there since 1 o'clock this afternoon. Probably so many of them earlier than that. Game doesn't kick off till 8:15, 8:20. That place is going to be rocking. I think the players know it. It's a huge bounce back spot for the Birds. I think Jalen Hurts shows up. I think A.J. Brown shows up. And I think at key moments, yes, I think the defense will get beat up a little bit, but at key moments, the stars will make plays. I got the Eagles winning in a pretty high scoring game, but not a drag race, right? I'm going to go with the Eagles 27-24 tonight.
I like it. Close one there, covering the spread as well. I'm with you, man. I feel you. Coming off that loss last Sunday, that was demoralizing. It had me questioning things. You know, I was listening to some of the overreactions around Philly, and is Jalen Hurts regressing? Nick Sirianni, Brian Johnson, does he need fired? Like this and that. And at the end of the day, it's one game, man. One game, one bad game that you just flush away, you throw it away, just like the Phillies had to do with those 2 games there in Arizona to start. So I'm with you. I think the Eagles come out today. Now, this is what I was going to say at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, let's hear it.
If the Eagles won last week, I would probably pick them to lose tonight, just off of getting through those first couple games untested, right? You think you're on top of the world. You go in here tonight, it's Kelly Green night. Everything's all good. I think with them losing to the Jets last Sunday, it lets them know everything is not all good. We are not undefeated. We are not unbeatable. And I think that's good for their ego and for their confidence going forward. They need to know what they need to fix, and they need to know that it needs fixed urgently. And I think that was a warning sign, a wake-up call, whatever the hell you want to call it last week.
A wake-up call.
And to that point, I think they're going to come out pissed off tonight. I think they're going to come out wanting to prove a point. I know on the other side, the Dolphins are going to come out with the same type of mentality. They got dog walked by the Bills in front of everybody when everybody was talking about the Dolphins, right? So they got stuff to prove, but I think the Eagles come out and prove they're the better team tonight, and I think that's what the difference is. They're going to come out and punch the Dolphins in the mouth. I do have it a little bit more high scoring, a little bit more far spread, I guess you would say. I'm going with the Eagles 31-24, so I got the same score for the Dolphins as you, but the Eagles scoring about 4 more points to cover that spread even further and push it out, make it a little bit more comfortable.
I'll tell you what, I would thoroughly enjoy a 30-plus night from them.
I would love to see them score. That's also wishful thinking. Yeah. I would love to see them score 30 points against a team.
But it shouldn't be, man. It shouldn't be wishful thinking against this defense at home.
It shouldn't. I did want to comment. Yeah, my mom commented in here in the comments. Mike McDaniel's a cool dude, man. I'm going to be rooting against him tonight, but he's one of the coolest dorks in the NFL. I'll give him that, man. But yeah, I'm going to go with the Eagles tonight. Bounce back game in front of everybody. The Kelly Greens. You got to start it right in the Kelly Greens. You can't create bad vibes in these bad boys. So I'm with you, man. Eagles all the way. Let's go Birds, man.
Eagles getting back on track tonight for me and Scotty. For the rest of you guys, that it wraps up this edition of Pregame Live. We will be back here on the DSM Philadelphia YouTube channel tomorrow morning, 8:30 a.m. for the Faithful Fanatic Show, breaking this one down, discussing Game 6 of the NLCS for the Phillies Diamondbacks, maybe talking some Sixers as the NBA season gears up to a start. We have a lot to discuss. Make sure you subscribe. We may also be live for Phillies pregame, depending on the time of the game. Obviously, they're scheduled for 5 p.m. right now. We'll see. If the Astros win tonight, I believe they would move to 8 p.m. if that series wraps up tonight. But with that said, just make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications, whatever you got to do. We greatly, greatly appreciate all of your guys' support. For myself, for Scotty, for DSM Media, have a great rest of your night, and go Birds.
Go Birds.